Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 14th episode of the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins, and I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. How are you doing today?
Good to hear. Doing all right, doing all right. What about you, Collins?
I'm doing okay. I'm alive. I'm relatively healthy. The world hasn't come crashing down on me yet, so those are good things, and that's usually how I keep myself
The usual then.
in the right state of mind. Anyways, yes, that's generally how I look at things. But moving on, we always start with our constant topic, the Battlegrounds Weekly Overview. Uh, for me, so far, we've been so new heroes came out. We've been playing with that. Um, Quilboars still been removed. I guess it's more normal not to see Quilboars nowadays, but it's still kind of weird. Like I'm still kind of used to having Quilboars every game. So when Quilboars are out, I'm like, oh yeah, it's feels off. But um,
Exception for sure.
it's not like I don't know what to do when Quilboars are gone, right? It's funny how quickly you get adjusted to like changes, right? Like before Crowbars weren't in the game, right? And I was like, whatever. Then Crowbars come in and you're like, okay, now I know the Crowbar meta. Now they take out Crowbars and I'm like, wait a minute. What is this? Yeah, no, it's so weird that get like 2 months ago this wasn't a thing we talked about at all. Now it's like, oh wow, Crowbars are gone. I feel it in my heart, at least in the game for sure. So I always find that interesting, but generally that's how I've been doing. Just kind of seeing what the meta brings. How about you, Shady?
Yeah, Quilboars in or out. It's for me. I guess I start thinking, oh, I could play Cali, right? Like when
Right.
I'm playing, let's say a power level like Omu, I might start picking up more dragons and plan like, oh, like Cali's actually going to be a thing. I'm not going to get outscaled by Flat Duskag. And
I, I,
I
I,
think Lightfang as well. I suddenly start looking at fives a bit more, like, oh, I could do Brand, could do Lightfang, right? Like a bit old school scaling.
yeah, I definitely see there's a noticeable drop in Kelly games that I've watched from myself and from others. Like people aren't really picking that up if there's a Quilboar in the lobby, and if they are, they're sometimes dying. Me too. I'll
It's just really high risk,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Low reward in the Quilboar lobby, so feels like Cali's really you want to do it when Quilboars are out.
Yeah,
Only if you hit the nuts,
the
right?
meta has passed for the dragon dominance of the old days where you could always just rely on the old Kali. Now it's like, you're kind of putting yourself right into death sometimes when you do it. So
Yeah, I think we talked about it
yeah,
earlier.
we
Where
did.
for me, Cali now it's more like, oh, I was strong and I got the 6. Oh, and I picked up 2 Calis. Cool, right? Then I can do it. But like tripling into Cali just feels
Yeah,
a
dude.
bit slow, a bit risky.
I'm now remembering like skipping Kellygus and feeling
I
sad
was like, wait,
about it.
wait, that happened. Okay.
Yeah, like just like I don't have any direction. And it's like Cali or not. I have no direction. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't need the Cali in this game. It's just it used to be unthinkable for me. Now it's like
Yeah,
fairly
for
common.
sure. Feels like
Uh,
now to Cali's direction into the next game. So.
yeah, I take that direction all the time. Let me tell you that right there. Um,
I mean, overall week's been fine. It's just been I'm up a bit, I'm down a bit,
yeah,
just adjusting to like it feels like the meta shifted a bit where I don't know if it's just like some variance, but I see more crazy stuff where I'm just like, huh, this feels less like it was when it was always Quilboar. Like maybe it's just me adjusting a bit slow. I'm usually good when there's like a very good rhythm, like very the
it,
same
it
thing and like no yeah, go ahead.
it might realistically just be the hero additions giving people
Yeah.
a higher chance of leveling. Right, it's like especially Guff, right? That's an extra hero in the game every time that can just level, right? So it's increasing the chances of you.
Yeah, Maiev is out though, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Like,
Maiev is
because
out. That's true. That's a good
Maiev was
point.
like insane, right? Like I think about that when I get Finley. I'm like, Maiev's not in anymore, so I can't roll my. Like Finley is legit less attractive to
Oh
me because
yeah,
he's like,
dude. I forgot. I actually forgot that Maiev was out because I never get Maiev anyway. So it, it's not something I thought about. You know, that's so true. Maiev
we
is.
smart. Like can't miss Maiev if you never got her anyway.
That's how
Yeah.
it was for me. You know. So Listo is like half of my game's Maiev, and I'm just looking at her like, what a cheater. Like, how do you do that? I don't know how. But yeah, that's a good point. So maybe that it does balance things out a bit, and it might be something else entirely. But speaking of my F being out, actually brings us to our next topic. Lich King has been bugged. If you don't know what the bug is, since they removed it, I feel comfortable talking about the bug, right? Usually when there's like bugs and stuff like that, I don't like talking about it because then people aren't like honest. They'll just do it. You know, oh, this is a bug that's broken. Let's do it, right? So, but since it's been removed already, if you tripled something while use the hero power on it, the reborn mechanic gets attached to the tripled minion. So you are basically able to create golden reborn minions for free that last till the rest of the game. Like it just becomes a permanent addition. So
Like a George Shield. Like you just give
yeah,
her.
it 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 was probably strong. I didn't get to abuse this. Not that I would, you know, of course, right? Not me. But I did not see this in my gameplay. I did not pick this hero and utilize this because I'm an honest person. But yeah, I didn't get to do it, so unfortunate. But yeah, apparently if you hero powered and then triple the minion, you get to keep the reborn. So there were definitely some screenshots and stuff of people having like 4 reborn minions that aren't supposed to have reborn added in. That can be very abusive, especially if you know you target the right minions. So fun, you know, golden reborn spawn every game, like every turn for free, like seems okay, you know. I'd run that, right? Dude, you could really go like America comp to the max, right? Like just
Dakota.
yeah, like just bomb reborn, Khadgar reborn, or Kangar reborn.
Reborn parrot.
Yeah, reborn parent. Oh my god, that sounds so fun.
It's like
uh,
legitimately hard to set up though. It feels like
yeah,
that's
for
what you
sure.
want to do in a low MMR game where you have like a lot of time that you can mess around.
Mm. Boy, that sounds like a comp I would love to play. Oh my god, why can't? Ooh man, what if there was a hero with a passive like that? When you triple a minion, give it reborn and divine shield, like or something like that. Like
Oh, we can triple. Yeah, reborn and shield. Yeah, I guess you go all the way then.
yeah, then would you stay low? You would go demons, right? That's what you would do, right? Because
Wrath Readers,
you
yeah.
can yeah, because you can stay low with and then you get like golden imprisoner, golden juggler, you know, like with divine shield and reborn, so you're never getting scammed. Oh my god. That sounds disgusting actually.
It would be something for Arana as well, right? She would
Yeah.
just like roll hard. You play Starless Wrathweaver with that. All right.
Oh, I'm thinking of a hero power. You're thinking of a minion, huh? I see what you're saying.
Right.
Uh,
My brain just jumped there. Of course, that doesn't
okay.
work. I mished everything together. There.
You could include a minion and a hero power, actually.
The
Like,
triples again. Okay.
that's interesting. Would that be broken? Maybe, right?
I
Like
mean, for the minion, it really depends what the base stats are.
the
Right?
minion, no, I don't think it would be broken, right? But the hero, I could see it. If you get
The
the right,
minion, you have no idea, right? If the
yeah,
base stats are good, then it
one
might be.
one, one
Yeah,
base stats with
probably not.
divine shield. Huh, funny. Anyways, whatever.
I'm a,
Anyways, this is not a big deal. Lich King got removed. Sad if you didn't get to use it. They said it's gonna be removed for the rest of the patch. So that I found a little bit shocking, right? Like That's a long time, right? Usually when they have like big bugs, it doesn't like they like server
Yeah.
updated, right? But
It's just Bell or something. I spam Lich King. Okay, that might be part of it as well. Like I snap Lich King a lot of the time. So that's like, oh, I've been missing this guy. Okay.
yeah, it's definitely weird. So um, it's gonna be gone for the foreseeable future. We don't have any uh say on or any we haven't heard any news on when the next patch will be, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I like the hero, so it's sad to see it go, right? Always reliable, right? Really always like picking it when beasts are in because you could go gold run and stuff like that, but now that it's gone, I have to do other things. Yeah, unfortunate. Rest in peace. Next topic we shall be talking about is our hero for the week. We shall be talking about Millhouse. So I was surprised we hadn't talked about Millhouse. I remember wanting to talk about Millhouse earlier, but Shady didn't want to. Now Shady wants to talk about Millhouse. So things have changed. You know, you've got your practice in. You're now ready. You're ready to go.
I like to make sure, I've tried it all out before we talk about it.
I am the opposite. Like, oh, new hero. I know exactly how this is gonna turn out. It's basically me. But now, if we talk about history, right? It used to have a different ability, where um, I don't exactly remember the exact specifics.
From what I heard, his levels were different, where it was cheaper to level
Yeah,
when he was
tavern
broken.
cost didn't cost one more. But even before that, it used to it was
Oh,
different.
okay.
Uh, but I'm not gonna look it up. But at first, it was unplayable or very tough to play, just because I don't remember the difficulty. Was it that refreshes were 3 or no? Something was there was definitely an issue that made this guy hard to play, and then they made tavern costs. They changed it to this iteration, and tavern costs didn't cost one more, so people were able to level up um, for free every time, and the leveling up was really easy. So you could always like ramp super hard with this hero. Uh, One thing was that was super broken before they made the cost was you could always level, sell something, and get something new while you were leveling. So there wasn't really any big drawback of leveling because you could always like remove your weakest minion for your strongest minion, right? And that just made things so easy to level. And then you would get to 5 or 6. Maybe you'd have a triple and then easy Caligos, right? That was back in the days where Caligos was the nuts as well. So if you had the
I mean,
Caligos
to
super
be
early,
fair, on Millhouse, Cali is still pretty insane, right? Yeah, like I'll play Cali on Millhouse, no problem. Yeah.
okay, that's true. But Kelly was the nuts, and then on Millhouse in particular, it was extremely broken as well. So, um, it was just the dominant strategy and the dominant like archetype to play at the time. So they nerfed Millhouse a little bit. Some people thought it would destroy the hero, but I don't think it really destroyed the hero. Millhouse really has that benefit of being able to punish really hard early, and you can also get really powerful starts. Before, people used to always level on 2 with Millhouse. Now people have kind of realized that you don't need a level on 2. You can just level on 3 and make sure you get a like token starts or mana gold efficiency starts, and then level on or turn 5 anyways, and still use your early game prowess to level quickly from there. So still pretty strong. With Quilboars now added, there's still a couple of things you can do right. Flat Tusk works pretty well with this hero since you can just buy and sell everything and have more tokens than normal than you would normally have if you were playing any other hero. And Millhouse doesn't like rolling, so if you can get a board state that doesn't need to roll or do anything really, just just get like Chaga and the Amalgam, right? Where you're getting like plus 12 for free without having to roll or do anything. Right? Really, works well with Millhouse. So the Quilboars did increase the power level a little bit just because you have that early game safety net, and then you can get into situations where you don't have to roll or do anything much to scale. So still good hero. Um, I recommend it, especially
That's
when
interesting. I don't really like Charlie with Millhouse, but yeah, sorry. Finish your thought, and then
you don't
we can
like
talk about
Charlie
that.
with anything, though. Let's be honest,
This
right?
is
You would
true.
always take a flat tusk
Very
over a
true.
Charlie in every
Well, I mean,
situation.
you would too, right?
Not true.
Millhouse,
I've had
come on,
I've had some
come on.
games where I had flat tusk and Charles, and I took the Charles, and
Oh,
I
disgusting. Oh,
was scared.
no.
I was sweating, but it worked out. It's cause the one thing with Charles that flat tusk doesn't have is you get that immediate scaling, right? So if you have that synergy with like the beast, and then you get like an immediate Charles, you get that
You have the
scaling.
beast
And
already.
if you're scared of dying, I remember I was like, 10 HP or something, flat tusk Charles. I was like, I don't want to die. Go for Charles. Then like 2 turns later, I was like, if I survived that turn that I took the Charles, flat tusk would have been better. Is what I thought to myself. But at least I survived, and I got to like second place anyways. It wasn't like bad, but I was sweating a little bit. But I will say flat tusk has shown to be more powerful overall with well at least has easier synergy, but Charles is like, play it and hope that your minions are good to support keeping the minions on the board. Um, but like I mean, if you're getting either one, like whatever, like it's okay, right? Flat tusk obviously better, but either one will be.
Like maybe we just.
You hate Charles.
Yeah, no, it feels like it feels like whenever I pick him and I died, like I look back, okay, what happened? Oh, I got very.
You're cutting off a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So it feels like a lot of the time when I look at a game that didn't go well, and I'm like, oh, what caused me to die here? It's like, oh, I took a Charles. So I don't know if that's like the way
Okay,
how I
so I get a
yeah.
lot of sixes, right? Sometimes I don't get flat tusk and I get a Charles and I pick the Charles and the Charles is okay, right? It's not like, hey, I had to choose between flat tusk Charles. I'm always, I'm taking Charles. Not common, right? Obviously not common. Flat tusk does have more potential to scale, right? But I've had taken some games where I get the Charles and then, you just play around it. I had a game where I had like a Charles, and then I put a Earthshaker in. I pick up a few gems, even though the Earthshaker doesn't scale that hard, right? But you get one bacon buddy with a Charles, and
Sure,
then you have
but
like you put
that's
in like
different for me. Then I'm shaker comp, and then it's whatever. Like it's like, oh, cool, I have a
sure,
fancy
but
banner.
you, sometimes the Charles facilitates going into directions that if you didn't have any gem activation, you couldn't really put in. So it's not like it's a lot easier to just go flat tusk and then put everything on shaker. Da, 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 da. But even if you have a Charles and then some other like one bacon bear buddy or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that
No,
sometimes that's enough.
I think the games where I don't do well with Charles, a lot of the time, Charles is like
You
pretty
have
slow.
yeah, you have Charles and then no like other synergies
Yeah,
to
I think you just need to roll hard to get strong fast. And a lot of the time, what I like to do is I like to take powerful sixes and then actually go to six. And I think with the Charles, that's probably a no where you gotta stay five, you gotta roll, you gotta get the Pumbaa, you gotta get the
yeah
shields,
yeah
you gotta get the Shaker, right? You gotta get the Agam or whatever skills with it. And that's probably where some of my games I'm just like, okay, I wasn't strong enough to go to six, or I went to six, but then I didn't get strong enough fast enough to justify going to six. Those kind of things. So probably the games where I don't do well with Charlie. Anyways, let's talk some Millhouse, right? I mean, it's a
uh,
nice little detour
uh,
to figure out where you might be doing better with the card than I am, and maybe some viewers, share either of our positions.
yeah, but
Uh, do you have any closing thoughts on Millhouse?
Uh, not necessarily. I think it's a good hero that you can pick up. I like it better with dragons, of course, but also with Quilboars and stuff like that. But even when those aren't in, I still kind of pick it up because um, its early game is really solid, and that um, a lot of times, right? Even if you don't have the right pieces and stuff, just being healthy into like turn 7 can mean the difference between you not being last and being like top 5 or top 4, right? So,
Mhm.
and this has that safety curve as long as you're playing in a safe manner, and you're not hyper leveling to 5 or 6 that I do sometimes, where it's like I have no direction, no triples, let's just go. That I sometimes do, but it has a very good safe early game, and I think a lot of times that can prevent you from losing like the most amount of MMR.
So do you have a set leveling pattern with Millhouse, or are there certain variations? Let's say up to tier 4. Is that always the same for you?
I guess so. Usually, the only time I wouldn't. So I usually level to 4 on 8 gold,
8 gold.
probably,
Like,
right?
that's the do nothing turn with Millhouse, right? You just
Yeah,
like, all right, hit the button, and maybe, if you have a lot of gold and there's something juicy in the shop, sure, right? But most
yeah,
games, it's like hit the button, sit. Right?
yeah. And the only time I don't do that is if my start was horrible and I'm just taking damage, and then the shop is good as well, right? Where it's just like, okay, I can't level here with
To
in
Millhouse
good
thing.
conscience. I will buy the money. Another thing that's really nice is when like demons and pirates are in, and you can just like buy the free money, or like the
Yeah,
extra money, right? The
get
three
the plus
gold or
one,
the plus
devour
one.
word. Yeah.
And then you can also level still and still have like the money efficiency. Great for me, but
I think I
normally
might like. Yeah, go ahead.
Normally, I will level to 4 on 8 gold.
I was thinking like the only time I remember not going to 4 on that turn was when, like you said, my start wasn't amazing, and then my shop was like Menace, Deflecto,
Yeah,
Sensei,
that's
Leaper,
right.
and I'm just like,
I
chung,
remember
chung, 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 chung.
I remember doing the same. It's like, okay, I guess I'm like Mex or
Yeah,
Talk
right.
Conk
You
or
don't want to play
something.
mix with Millhouse
Yeah.
usually because you want to roll a bunch. But like, if I get like 8 rolls worth of things immediately, then sure, right? Let's take it.
So
Yeah, so maybe for anyone who's just like, like stayed away from, because Millhouse is a little bit of a, I guess, intimidating hero. I think
I
if you're
do
a newer
agree.
player, yeah, like because Millhouse can feel like I'm doing well, I'm doing well. Oh, I can't roll. No direction. I'm dead. Right? It feels like you can fumble the game, like where you're like, things were going okay, and then they weren't. So at least the basic strategy I employ with Millhouse is try to freeze a triple in the shop and turn that into a 6 drop. So most of the time, turn 1, you're gonna hope to find a token so you can buy token, sell token, buy something else. Then turn 2, as we mentioned, Millhouse usually doesn't level on 4 gold. You just get to buy 2 things straight up. And then on 5 gold, you sell one thing, you buy one thing, and you level. So, economy is amazing. Elementals, Murloc Tidehunter's, Swabby, Alley Cat, those are the 4 early economy cards. So whenever you have Millhouse and Champion selection, you do want to look at, okay, what's in, what's out. I think Millhouse, that matters more than other heroes, because if you do not have 3 of the 4 economy cards in, that's a huge handicap for Millhouse. Another type that's quite important is you want to see if dragons are in. It's not a mandatory thing. If all 4 economy things are in and dragons are out, we'll be like, oh, I can't play Millhouse because dragons are out. But as we mentioned, Caligos is particularly powerful on Millhouse because he has a very easy time buying and selling battleground cards, right? You can just empty the whole shop the whole time. Now, after that 5 gold turn where you've bought and sold, you've got your 6 gold turn. That's the fun one. It's like, ooh, buy, buy, buy. You get to just buy 3 things. Then 7 gold, you level, you sell a thing, buy a thing. And then 8 gold, as we mentioned, that's the do nothing turn most of the time, where you're going to level to tier 4 and just sit. And then I think the 9 gold turn is probably the most crucial turn in your whole game when you're playing Millhouse. And that's where you kind of make or break. Either you get a great Millhouse game, or you're going to have to salvage the situation. If you have the triple frozen in the shop, that's usually where you can level to 5 for all the gold you have that turn, sell 2 things, buy your triple from the shop. The best one is to already have a Elemental triple on the board, so you just have to sell, so you get to keep a full board. That's the best one, but obviously you can't always do that. And then you get a 6 drop on 9 gold. And then we talked about, Flat Tusk is amazing with Millhouse because buying and selling minions generates gems very easily. You get a Shaker, you get an Agam, it's very good. You get Caligos, it's very good. But just, even an Eliza or an Imp Mama or a Gas Coil or something to keep you strong so that you can maybe stay one more turn on tier 5 and then go straight to 6. Millhouse does amazing on tier 6, right? Millhouse loves tier 6 because it's a lot of just buying and selling, where other heroes or champions, they need to be a little bit more selective. They can't just buy whatever. But Millhouse can just like, yep, both, yep, just buy, ching, ching, ching. And then, you have a very strong board very fast. If you don't have the pair in the shop, that's where you get tested. Those are the tough Millhouse games. That's where at least I roll on tier 4 a little bit to, usually you'll have one or two pairs ready to go. So I try to protect them. It's even best if one of the pairs is still in your hand, where one is on the board and one is in the hand. This happens when you have a lot of economy early. You have like a
That's
bunch of
me.
Murloc Titans and Alley Cats, and you just get to hold something, right? So I try to protect those pairs on tier 4 while buying some strong minions. That might be Harbinger, an Egg, a Bolvar, just, something to not get decimated in that round. And then you can still have the triple show up in the shop. You can still freeze it, and the turn after you can still level and buy it. Sure, you're one turn behind on the 6 drop, but you're usually fine. So I guess that's my normal Millhouse flow, where it's either, okay, I've got my triple frozen, I'm cashing in my 6 drop on 9 gold, or it's plan B, try to salvage, roll on 4, try to protect the pairs as long as you can. But sometimes, nothing pops, and you have to do something weird, right?
Okay,
Where
so
you're
that's
like,
plan C, right? Where nothing goes
yeah,
right for
nothing
you.
pops. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the mech Millhouse games. Those are the taunt count Millhouse games. Those are the, oh god, I guess I just have big Fernal and I'm spamming demons
Yeah.
Millhouse game.
Yeah.
Those things can happen where you're just, like you had a Weaver, right? You had a Weaver pair, nothing popped. You pick up two big Fernals because it's in the shop, and before you know it, you're just buying and selling demons, and you triple into a Maganas, and you're like, hey, this kind of works. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, those are games where you're not trying to win, where you're really just looking to salvage and make sure other people get killed faster than you do, right? Hopefully you haven't taken like crazy amounts of damage there in the bottom, but you can like maybe survive an extra turn before other people, and then go and squeeze into top 4 or squeeze like top 5 or something like that. Not every game you're gonna hit the nuts and get the perfect setup to win the lobby, right? But in those games where, especially with Millhouse, where you don't get as many rolls to hit the pairs and stuff, right? You can find yourself in situations where there's not a lot of clear direction, but you can definitely find pieces to salvage and get a decently strong board so that you're not taking as much damage as the people below you. Just something to keep in mind because it happens to Millhouse often, where people just level to 4, level to 5, and then don't hit the triple and then don't know what to do, and then like roll 5 times and be like, well, I mean, I'm Millhouse,
Yes,
I
I'm dead.
guess I
Yeah.
lose, yeah, and then they give up mentally. So if those situations happen, you just have to look at the shop and see how can I make myself like incrementally stronger, right? Just to, because you'll be surprised how often like that one extra minion that you add or something that's an upgrade will be the difference between like dying a turn slower, a turn faster, right? Anytime you get a perfectly lethal, right? Sometimes it's RNG, right? But sometimes it's like
That
you
was like
miss,
2 health I could have saved
yeah,
here
you
or there.
miss something in the shop that could have made you that
Yeah.
little bit stronger to survive and
That's
stuff.
I think with Millhouse, for that reason, it's even more important to really, really, try to curate your board so that you have the most amount of chance to make use of the shop, right? Where you
Right.
have that menagerie
That
setup where,
menagerie setup,
okay,
yeah.
I got the dragon, I got the
Yeah.
merle, or I got 3 types, so I can, because even a cup or the mug or whatever, the +1/+1, that's 1 gold, that's fine, right? That's +3/+3 your board, 1 gold. You find the jug, that's great. Clunkers, leapers, dragon buffs,
You're the one
a
that
lot
made
of the
me
time.
incorporate that into my
Right, right,
strategy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a thing where like, "Oh, I'm playing Millhouse," so a lot of the time, when early you're deciding on your unit, you can get either the Acolyte or you can like the Taunt Dragon or the Murloc, and especially on Millhouse, I'll be more inclined to set up a Rockpool pair or a Dragon pair instead of an Acolyte pair because, they have types, so either I'm gonna, set up my Caligos a little bit better, or I'm gonna set up my Jugs or whatnot. Whereas the acolytes, doesn't benefit. It doesn't mean you never get acolyte on Millhouse. I have acolyte pairs all the time. It's just, you do want to favor those types because you want to make sure utilize those buffs or get your Caligos off the ground a little easier.
The amount of ghoul pairs I'm running recently is disgusting.
Wait, which pairs?
Ghoul pairs, like just AoE.
Ghoul. Okay, tell me more. What is this?
I know. I just like sometimes those pairs are ghouls, and I'm just like, I'm gonna run them. I'm gonna pick it up, and then like
You mean on Millhouse, like the 6 gold
not
shop?
just
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes, yeah,
I'm
but
trying
like
to figure out. I'm trying
just
to figure out in what kind of shop I'm buying 2 ghouls.
it's like turn 6, and then I get 2 ghouls and 2 1-drops, and I'm just like, all
The
right,
6 gold turn.
yeah,
Turn 4. Yeah.
and
Okay.
I'm just like, all right, I'm just taking this, and then like they blow up my opponent's board, right? Of course, because I'm not gonna have synergy with ghoul if I'm picking
Yeah.
up ghouls, right? And then it's like, okay, I tied. Okay, I tied again. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep these.
I will say 2 a lot better than 1, right? Because like especially you fight someone like Zyrella, the board is made of 2/2s. It's just like everything gone.
I look for how many Murlocs my opponent has. I'm just like, okay,
Right.
they have tokens.
Murlocs and beasts. Right? Yeah, you can check that.
They have tokens, and I'm just like, all right, there we go. It's not it's not common. I just like I see it. I see myself doing it and just like groaning, and then being like, oh, I tied, and then I triple it, and I'm like, well, I guess this is my game. And then I remember I had 2 ghouls, and I was like, do I take this deflector? I'm just like, is this really the question I'm asking?
I think it's 3-1. I mean, you buy it probably, and then you sell the ghouls.
I do buy it, yes. I'm just like, but
I mean, the Deflecto is a bit salvageable, right? Because you can have a mummy or something reset it by the time it's time to attack. No, but the golden ghoul you were talking about, like I saw something really cool, like a really really old school build. There's maybe some listeners that have never even heard of that build. It's kind of like the old school Exodia build,
I hate
where
it.
you have a golden ghoul,
I hate
you have
it.
a baron,
No.
you have like what is it, a rat pack or a wolf, anything that dies and produces beasts. So the way how this works is you blow up your own board, which has like either rat pack or wolf, something that produces beasts, right? Usually a rat pack, I think, where you'll get a board full of beasts, and then the Goldrin will go off, and it'll buff all those things repeatedly. And then maybe you throw in a selfless there, like they get divine shield, and there's a baron, like making everything better. And I died to that. And I was like, wow, that guy must have just gotten 2 ghouls randomly and then tripled and be like, oh, I tripled him into a golden. He's like, wait a minute, I know what this does, right? I can actually make this into something. Because I'm thinking, how else do you get a golden ghoul? So that's immediately reminds me of that.
I've never liked that comp, dude. It felt so cheese. It felt to me like if you have this comp, why not just go regular beasts? You have the Goldrin and you have the Baron. Why are you adding this random ghoul just to do like if your opponent is George? Okay, like acceptable. But other than that, I'm just like, why are you doing this? Just go
People are
random beasts.
tired of losing for going second. That's why, because the fucking parrot is gonna get sniped. Like it's not gonna, you get wind furied or whatnot. It's so crazy the amount of times I play beast and it's like, well, let's see if I go first or if I lose, right? So
Yeah,
it's such a big deal.
that is true. That
It's
is
it's
like the
crazy. That's
one
the
issue.
beast late game, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you're so strong it doesn't matter, right? Like a lot of the time you're gonna have Acolyte with a Reborn Taunt or a Divine Shield Taunt, so you're kind of protected versus Wind Fury, but still you can see where they have the zap, and you're just like, well, either my parrot goes off with or without a Baron. We'll see what happens, whether I go first or not.
Yeah,
And it's frustrating for the other guy too, because it's like, I have a zap, I'm countering you. Oh, but you went first, so it didn't matter. So your entire board's buffed anyway.
Yeah, that is something I would love to address. Just like being able to affect how to going first percentages and stuff like that. Dude, I really like the idea of who has less minions.
Yeah,
It,
like you take the handicapping, right?
yeah.
But then people can like 5 hit each other, and then you end up
Yeah,
with
yeah,
like 5 minions on
exactly.
the
I
board.
would love to see that. Like someone running 5 minions just to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go first. Like I don't care. I'll just run five. It's like, damn, okay. If you can deal if you can deal with the absence of an extra minion. Someone says, oh, what about pirate scam? But like whatever. That comp wins regardless. Like,
That comp doesn't need to go first or
yeah,
second
yeah.
a lot of the time. Like
Uh,
now that blood gems are in, it's
you
so
just
easy to get
counter,
your
yeah.
Baron out of that range, so it's not a big deal. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
it's true.
I don't know if that's like a real argument, but I thought it'd be nice just to have a way to deal with like I want to go first. Okay,
It
Solomon.
is. I think the idea is cool. Yeah, for sure.
But regardless, we've been on Millhouse for a long time.
Hey, man, sometimes you just got to talk about Millhouse and segue into a whole other stuff.
Uh,
Which like maybe a little bit of a ending there. Like you usually don't want to play Beast on Millhouse, by the way, because Beast is a lot of rolling. I played it one time because Bob was like, you tripled into a gold rune and there's a parrot and a baron in the shop. I'm like, okay, sure, right, I'll take it, right.
that
But most of the time,
that is
don't get
usually the
baited. Don't
only
get
way.
baited into playing Beast on
Yeah,
Millhouse.
I triple
Anything
into
that's like hyper roly, you just don't want to do it. Like, scam comp, same thing, right? When you're rolling just for Khadgar and Baron, man, you do not want to be paying 2 gold for those rerolls the whole time.
Yeah, the thing is like if your shop already is like you get an Eliza and your shop already has like a scallywag or something, you're like, yeah, what else am I
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. I mean, you'll run that for sure. But I feel like if I would be in that, let's say I tripled into Eliza and there's a Scally in the shop, then sure, I'll run that. But then I think on Mill has my most probable course of action would be, oh, I'm strong now. Let's just go to 6 and then let's just, buy strong stuff. And sure, if Bob gives me Barons and Khadgars, I'll play it. But most of the time it'll be like, oh, I rolled into Cali or I rolled into Bran Amalgadon, Primal Fin, and just do something like that just because it's so taxing to just roll for 2 for, like 2 or 3 units.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Moving on. Oh my lord. We're gonna be talking about Bronze Warden. Speaking of dragons, speaking of Caligus, but
Smooth.
regardless, this card I think is a 4-drop disguised as a 3-drop. If I'm gonna be honest, like this
Yes,
card,
this guy's really good.
anytime I'm taking like 10 plus damage in the early game, it's because they have one or more copies of this card, and then they kill it and the reborn pops up with divine shield, and I pop the divine shield, but then it still has that 2/1 body left over, and I'm just like,
That's so
why am I
frustrating.
taking 13 damage because he has a 2/1 and then my extra 1/1 didn't finish off his minion? It's just like, oh my god, dude,
So
so
frustrating to just watch your team be like 1 hit into the bronze, 2 hits into the bronze, 3
3 hits
hits
is
into the
the
bronze,
bronze. Yeah,
no fourth hit, right? It's just
yeah.
like, wow, you guys could have removed like 8 or 9 more damage points, but everything went into the little bronze sword.
Yeah, it's an annoying card. It's really one of the cards that like helps you if you level early, right? Like this is what you're looking for, right? So one of the reasons why you're really looking for dragons if you're gonna hyper level or dragons in the minion types, because if you can hit this or a couple of these, right, you're pretty much not gonna take any damage in the early game. So it is annoying. I say annoying, but I pick it up. I like the card, right? I
Yeah.
like it because it exists, and I have to pick it if I now don't want to die. And you can utilize this card for a lot of like other compositions. That's another like key thing, right? It fits
Yeah.
into Menagerie, it fits into Taunt comp, fits into classic, just Earthshaker comp, Groundshaker comp, fits into just Divine Shield, right? Sometimes you run Bronze Warden and then the other dragon, the 3/6 dragon, you're just like, okay, well, I get two divine buffs off of this one card, so my 3/6 dragons are going to be significantly stronger than if I ran any other divine shield besides like deflect or reset. All right, so in the early game, if you don't have a direction, right, that can be good enough to keep you healthy. So there's a lot of like little things, right? It also works with Khadgar. Oh, I mean,
Yes,
oh
I was about to
god,
say, like, 2 Chads and this thing in the front,
oh
and,
my
like,
god.
they go first and they hit it, and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna go off, yes!" Board full of wardens.
Dude, It's the dude. I'm getting annoyed. Just listing, but yes, this card has a lot of synergy, and it's very strong. It's very strong. Lots of synergy. Good card. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. And once again, also really, really good if you get a Caligos as well, right? Like, it gets that immediate Divine Shield value, so sometimes you don't need the Nadina. And another thing, even if you do hit Nadina, then you taunt this card, and then you're like, okay, it goes in, and then Nadina gives the Divine Shield back. So there's really like, it's hard to find a drawback with this card. It's just so good. So
The
yeah.
drawback would be, I guess, that the triple is a little underwhelming. Like you triple, you're like,
Okay.
didn't really do that much
But then
better.
you
Like
get a
not,
6 drop, you know, most of the
yeah, of course, but there's like, like you triple a ground shake, you're like, oh mama, right?
time.
That's
That's fair.
that's a triple right there, right? You triple an egg, that's a 16-16. Those things matter. So
Okay.
but yeah, it's an amazing card. The triple being a bit underwhelming, you'll still take it a lot of the time because hey, you gotta take your shot for Cali or whatever.
Like that's fair. I mean, like
Yeah,
it's a card.
I'm reaching here. I'm reaching, right? It's like, oh well, if you have three of them, it's obviously not as good as you.
Fair enough, but yeah, I think this is I would say it's been an influential card since it came out. In that, it can be sometimes like a game deciding card, like sneakily. Like sometimes you'll take like 6 extra damage because your opponent had like 2 of these early, and then you'll die, like by 5, and you don't think back to, oh, if my opponent didn't buy that bronze warden on that turn, I would
Right.
be healthy and able. You don't think about games like that. You're blaming the guy who killed you instead of the guy who got 2 bronze wardens the turn right before he was supposed to, and now he's dealing an extra 6 to you that wasn't supposed to be there in that game state because it has reborn in it. You can't
Yeah.
one shot it. So
This
it's
is the this is the minion you're really targeting when you're power leveling, right? If you can visualize like what you want the shop to look like. Like let's say you level on 5 gold, that's the typical powering to 3. You just want like 2 of these, or this in the deflecto, or this in the buff dragon, the emissary. Like that duo has saved me so many times when I power level. I open a warden and an emissary. I'm like, oh, 4-3 taunt reborn divine shield of a 4-4. You just start winning already, or at least tying, right? Usually when you power level, you start winning or tying on 7 gold. This way you usually already tie or win on 6 gold, even though you have half the guy's minions.
Yeah. This AFK used to be good because of this hero minion. You remember that hero AFK? No one knows that hero anymore. Used to be good because you could start with double bronze sword, and now it's a lot harder to get that starts. There's more things in the pool, but even then, like,
It's still what you look at, right? Like when you play AFK, if let's say your pack is like so bad, you look at AFK like maybe you want to see if mechs and dragons are in for this guy and Deflecto and Sensei and all
what if
that.
you got 4 choices instead of 3? That would be
I mean, like just discover but +1, like
yeah,
the way.
yeah, because they did it for +2. And AFK
Right. So
AFK
you're
is
saying
struggling. Yeah,
okay, that's a cool thing to work with because
yeah,
Hook Dusk was too good. They
yeah,
brought her down to 2, which
yeah.
is still a bullshit hero, by the way. I want to point that out. Everyone's like, "Yeah, my F is gone," right? Like the amount of times I have just Hook Dusk was like, I just went to 3. How do you have 2 5-drops on your board? What the hell is this crap, right? It's just like insane power spikes sometimes. And we know they get like the token makes a token and the token makes a token. It's just like unlimited gold and triples and everything.
Yes.
We all have those hooked us games as well, right? Just like you just token it to token it. It's just like, oh well, this is silly, right? So yeah, I mean she's still busted, by the way. Don't let them fool you. But yeah, I think it's a cool concept to think about it. Like we can bring discoveries down to 2. What if we take them up to 4? Like, and if it's still crap, what if we take them to 5? Right, your entire screen is full of cards. You're like, yeah, like, you can just choose from the 3-drop pool at one point.
Just choose from the 3-drop pool. That would be so nutty. Oh my god, double hack
Think
for
of the
me every
interface.
game. I love it. Would I go double Hank every game? I'd probably not, right? I mean, I don't know.
Ours is just double Hank every game, right? Double Hank.
Oh man, but
I thought about you. Like I was playing Reno and I was struggling, and I golden the Hank and I got top 2. I was like, man, Collins would have loved this game.
I would have loved it. That's what I love to see, dude. I've done that a couple times, and it doesn't always work, especially if you lose the first battle, then you've basically lost the whole game. But sometimes
Significantly worse when you lose. Yes, it's true.
But sometimes it works out. You're like, okay, I believed. You know, I never doubted you. That kind of thing. But yeah, you know, just we've been having a lot of tangents this podcast. But if we were to adjust AFK, I think that would be something to look at, because I really do think what minion you start with really dictates like how you go from there. Like even more than like getting an extra token or whatever, right? But because like you get double bronze warden, you can just level to 3 and then
Yeah,
you're
you
good
don't
to
need
go.
extra coin.
Yeah.
You even get 2 rolls, right? You get to just spend the gold rolling.
Yeah, so it's something to look at. You know, if any designers are in this listening in, you know, take a look
Free
at
advice. Take it up to 4. Let's
Yeah, I
try it
don't
out.
usually give that, you know. So I
It
actually that's
might break mobile. Like maybe they can do it for that, right? Like because it's like
that's
maybe it
a
takes up your entire screen
that's a
already with
sad excuse. I don't like that excuse.
yeah.
Fix it. Just
might be the play though.
that is not. I am not okay with that. That is the reason we can't do it. No, give me a better excuse. You know, find something else to appease me. But yeah, I do think the minion is really good. I think if you played for a while, you should know that it has a lot of synergy. It hits people hard, right? Like we talked about getting hit, but we also should talk about taking out people's health pools early before they get to scale, right? Bronze Warden does that super well. A lot of times, it's like the only minion that is left on my opponent's board or on my board. I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, you're taking an extra 6 or 3 or whatever, and it hurts, right? Especially when you hyper level and then you have a bronze warden and it's the only thing that survives. It's just like, oh, you're taking like an extra. I leveled.
Yeah,
and
you're
losing.
Sure.
Oh my god, it feels so bad or good depending on what side of the coin you're at. But yeah, good hero, good minion. You know, Let's move on to the next topic. Speaking of good heroes.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at this. One is like, we were perfectly correct in our analysis of these heroes, and the other one is
I
the
was
truth.
terribly wrong.
The other way.
You were bigger on, you were bigger on Mutanus.
No, I think we were both completely, entirely wrong in how good or bad we thought these heroes would be. I was thinking, Mutanus would be the better of the 2. Guff is too janky to work. You have to like buy good 1s and 2s, and you have to level, is what I said. I should have realized this is a leveling game. You know, people like leveling. Why did I not think about that? You know, people will find a way to level if you can level safely, and Guff lets you level safely in a way, and it also kind of lets you pick up more units than you normally have available, right? So sometimes if there's a Hydra, I'm like, oh my god, yes, let's go. This is my 4 for the rest of the game. I'm done with that number, right? Where it's like, oh, if normally you can't just like pick a Hydra carefree and just be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good for the rest of the game. You can with this hero. Things with Divine Shield are always like just like premium now. You don't have to like sell them at any point or something. You can just find a way, and it'll let you get into like early triples or whatever, just or early 5s, early 6s, and then you can go from there and just like throw away the pieces you don't need, right? You get a flat tusk, okay, that's your 6, I'll just go Agam comp, and then I just have a Hydra. Like, okay, like it's fine. Like I just have like a random like micro machine, and I put a what's it called? I put module on it, yeah, and then it's good. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. So there's a lot of like, there's a surprising amount of like useful like low tier minions that actually you can keep. Like even the even on 2, right? The one that I saw a lot of people using was the one if you triple you keep the divine shield. Right, the
Love
4/3.
those.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just use that, and then it's like they triple it, and then bam. Then
The best 2-drop I've seen, at least in my
it's
opinion, is
selfless.
Ritualist. No,
Oh,
Ritualist. Like
ritualist.
Ritualist early, oh man, it's so good. Like you just keep adding stats to it and
Fair
then
enough.
survives the hit and buffs the others. It's
I've seen
yeah, I mean,
selfless
like
and then macaw
yeah,
as the 3, and
yeah.
then
If you can get that, of course, that's
yeah,
highly synergistic. But I
yeah.
mean, standalone, I'm probably the happiest to open a Ritualist onto when I'm
But
playing.
look at
So,
how many options there actually are. like,
sure.
hey, that is something to take
There's
note
no
of.
real terrible like I played it with a 2/4 Murloc and just like, yeah, 4
Yeah,
base health,
I played it with
totally fine.
I started with the dragon, the 1/2 dragon, and I got the 2/4 dragon, and that was like
Sure.
so good. I was just like winning every battle. I was like, oh, this is not hard. I was like, I had 3 minions. They had like 5, and I won. And I'm just like, oh yeah, it's
I
perfect.
think Guff right now is probably, one of the only, if not the only guy I would just push 5 with kind of brazenly, where you're just like, all right, time to just
I
go
do that
5.
with every minions or every
Yeah,
hero. So,
sure. But, like
but
coming
it's
from
even
me,
easier with this one.
yeah, right. A lot of the time you just go like, well, I have my 4. There is nothing left for me here. Let's
Yeah,
go to 5. Let's
exactly.
get that light fang, baby. Let's just because that's what you look at as well when you play this guy. For me, at least, a lot of the time, because I know I'm most likely just pushing 5. It is really nice to sort out the Mithrax, sort out the
For
light
them,
fang ahead
yeah,
of
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. So when you can choose like, which one do I take, and if it's close, you take the one that you don't have yet, the type, like the
yeah.
beast or the murloc or whatnot, because a lot of the time you do just naturally end up on 5, and then you do want to be able to pick up that Mithrax or light fang with great synergy.
Yeah, that is menagerie works really well with this hero for sure because of how likely you are to go to 5, and then how likely you are to like hit a light fang, hit a even brand menagerie kind of stuff. Right, there's so many Mithrax as well. There's a lot of menagerie stuff on 5, so when you go to 5
Oh,
early, you just go. You just
don't get me wrong, you can taunt comp really well with this guy as well, right? I've played it, I've stayed on 4, no complaints there, right? Usually when you get your Deflecto early and then your 4-drop is like either a champion or a Kiraji or something, like, hey, sure, I
That's
know.
true. You start with
You know,
Acolyte for your 1,
yeah, exactly,
and
right?
then
You
you
just
get the Ritualist, and then you get the Arn 1/3, and then you get the
the champion,
the
and he's like, hey.
champion.
Like, something that's also been common is like I haven't hated homunculus on this guy. We're just like, yeah, sure, okay. It's just gonna have a
Okay,
lot of HP and
that's
it
fair.
scales a bit. And I know then, if I see a champion later on, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have a reasonably high base health taunt. Because obviously the way how I play the game, like I'm looking for those options to incorporate taunt into the comp more. So I'm usually thinking like, oh, can I just buy and play a champion when I hit it? A lot of the time I try to set up my board in that way because I think that minion is really good if you don't have to, first find the Argus to make it work. If you first have to find the Argus to make it work, it's a little risky to pick it up. But if you have a big taunt already, that thing that it's kind of like a gold grubber in a way where
Yeah, I
you
can see
have,
that.
yeah, right. You have one big taunt. That's a golden minion because the chance that gives +2/+2 is really high. But then the condition to turn it into +4/+4 +6/6 isn't, oh, I need to golden more things. It's just one Argus. That's all, or just like module or something. So that's another thing with Guff. Like if you can get a big taunt early, it's very easy to just like, oh, I'm on 4. Another one is the new demon, the one that scales if
Right.
you have fewer minions on your board, fewer than
I
7,
haven't
because
picked up that minion. I gotta be
oh,
honest.
it's been good for me with Guff
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you naturally
No,
don't
just
have a
because
full
I
board a
don't
lot of
see
the
it. I just don't see it. That's or maybe my brain hasn't registered that that's a card yet. That happens to me sometimes
time.
where I just don't see new cards because I'm like, it's not a card I'm thinking about. So my brain like filters it out automatically. So
I had
I'm
that for the longest time with ghouls. Like,
yeah.
even though I knew I was fighting a George and I knew I was looking for a ghoul, I would still skip ghouls because that's such a generic minion. Just learn to filter out a lot of the time.
I know. But yeah, it's
All
it
right, so Guff. What about Mutinous?
Guff, good. Apparently one of the better heroes, right? Like that's we did not. think that was gonna happen, but
I
it's
think he's ranking first on HS replay
yeah.
right now.
So one of the better heroes is what I would pay.
One of his tier.
You would say, oh, he's ranking first. I would just say he's one of the better heroes right now. We were close. If I say he's one of the better heroes, if you're saying he's ranking first, well, then we look very stupid. So it's
Well, I
highly
mean,
look at
the sample size, it's like 9K. Like,
yeah,
these
yeah.
guys all 9K. What do they know, right? Like maybe in like the 13K regions, even though people aren't 13K, and like maybe Guff not so good.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Lord Jaraxxus is good on 13K. Like just like the meta there, it doesn't have to make sense. But yeah, it's a good hero, very very strong. Likes leveling, so should have known it would have worked, but we got it wrong. Mutinous, however, a little bit different. Um, you don't. It's not a hero power you use super often in the early game, right? You use it on turn 3 sometimes, right? But it's only like once you start getting to like Tavern 3 are you using it like every turn afterwards, I think.
So I've been trying to sneak it in here and there,
Okay.
where I've even had taverns where I find the 2/6 pirate and I just
Okay.
yeah, that's the big money guy, right? Like, oh, +2/+6,
That's the
I'll
one I
find
do
that.
too. Yes.
Yeah, that's the best one, right? But like sometimes you'll just have like a token in the shop and you're still like your brain starts spinning like, okay, how do I like buy this guy, sell this guy, and still get the token and it somehow works out. Like, but yeah, most of the time it's like on 8 gold, you're really happy to do it, right? Like
Yeah.
you do it on 5 gold and you do it on 8 gold. I think sometimes 6 or 7 gold, depending on what you have bought, like tokens or what you're hero powering, there could be an exception.
But
Because this guy feels better than I thought he'd be, just because of how I underestimated how you can just keep trying. I think
yeah.
that's probably the best way, right? You
Yeah.
just like you get a big thing and then it transfers to the next thing, and eventually it jumps on the deflecto.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, big deflecto,
Yeah,
cool.
that is the nice thing, right? Like, so let's say you get the 2/6 pirate, and okay, this happened to me. I got the 2/6 pirate, aided, went on my acolyte, and I'm like, well, it's a 4/8 acolyte, turn 5, like whatever, I didn't care,
You're
right? But
winning.
then
You're winning.
yeah, but then you just keep eating whatever you target until you hit something you want, or until you hit that deflector, you hit that cleave or whatever, and you're good, right? So let's say you get the 5/5, you target it, it hits like your 2/2 or whatever. Next thing you just target the 2/2, unless it's life fang, then you're keeping that. But let's say it's just a random like hyena or something, just target that and then bam, it moves on to something else, and you can just keep doing that. So you're never really losing that value. You're going to eventually get that value somewhere you want it. It might just take longer than you want, but you will get that value, and you can always do it since you're getting the gold back. You're not it's not a waste of an ability or anything to use your ability, right? You're getting that gold from selling. So the only thing is like bacon
That one's
relaxer.
awkward. Yeah.
That's like one of the fews where you have to like
But a
decide. And
a lot of the time, like I had this actually today. You
mm,
see a bacon and you see a 2/3 turn one, and then your instinct is, oh, buy the bacon. But you're like, wait, if I hear power to 2/3, it's
it's
plus two
better,
plus
yeah,
three instead of 2/2. So buy the 2/3, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So you'd only buy the bacon if the rest is just worse than a 2/2, which is unlikely, right? Because
yeah,
like even a micro mummy, you should take the mummy and you'd buy something from the 5 gold shop and hero power
yeah.
there.
So it, it's got a lot. Its value is relatively consistent, and you can use it early. At least turn 5, you can use it, and then once you get into like Tavern 3, right, you can start. You can use it pretty much use it every turn, and it works out, and you're getting an extra, let's say 4/4 or 5/5 and scaling, right, like for free, right, like that you don't have to work too hard to do. So it's pretty good, right? It's always nice when you can buy a battle cry and then just eat it, and then double the value
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? Buy a mug,
Yeah,
get
this
plus
guy
six
for
plus
me,
six, eat it +3 +3. I love it.
yeah, you get to clean it up at the end for sure. Like this guy for me really feels like just a pure tempo hero
Right.
where It's not much fancy with like trying to get huge triples. It's just okay, I'm just gonna keep swapping stats around. I'm gonna get to tier 4, buy some divine shields, buy some good targets, and just try to get, like that big deflecto or that big Bulvar or whatnot.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, um, turns out Blizzard added 2 good heroes into the pool. Not that common, I would say, for them.
Credits for sure.
Yeah, no, a lot of times they have like 3 new minions and then 1 is good, and then the 2 are like, I never want to see these in my games, So kind of interesting to have 2 good heroes that do things kind of replacing Maiev in a way, right? It's weird, right? Oh, Maev's too strong, and then bam, new hero best in the game. Like, I don't understand.
I think I have a lot of this was just a campaign against her where, like I saw a lot on Twitter, people like, oh, I hate this hero, it's so bullshit. So yeah. I feel like that probably played somewhat of a role into it. Combined with her obviously having the best stats in the game. I think it's easy to justify it as well there. He was like, oh, she was the best hero in the game for too long.
Like, we're moving Guff like next week.
Yeah, best hero in the game, right?
Accent. That's not happening. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know.
I think, if anything, it'll just get the Togwaggle treatment. Like it's +1/+1 now. Yay, right? If it turns out, let's say people start refining him and he gets even stronger and the gap.
Would that do anything? Do you think?
Yeah, he gets a lot weaker.
Yeah.
You go, like right now, a lot of it is just like, oh, I get a deflecto, I get a Hydra. Oh, I know that attack just goes up pretty fast. So.
Like Hydra wouldn't scale like it does if it only had 1 attack. Yeah, so that would be a pretty big nerf. Right? Yeah, pretty big nerf.
Just half. You just get half of the scaling.
It's unfortunate, but we were wrong. That's the main point of this. We are rarely ever wrong, so I felt it was necessary to, make a big whole topic. I like how I don't put we're wrong anywhere in the image. You have to be paying attention to hear this now, but we will normally often get things wrong, especially new things. That's why I don't really like making predictions, because I'm not very great at it. But better than we thought. Definitely, you want to play these heroes if you can get them. So, and they're relatively fun, I would say. So, I'll go for it. Next topic we have is tripling based on minion type. So, I think this is one that's pretty interesting in that until Shady really like started talking about it was really when I started like paying attention to this this game idea or the strategy, where you just have to be aware of what is in the shops before you can, but when you're deciding when to triple or what to triple, right? So normally I just triple 6 every game, and then I'll manage whenever I get 3 elementals, and I'm like, little rag is good, is what I tell myself. That's what I do. But I've noticed, that doesn't always work out for me. If the elementals are in, and there's no other like real like easy scaling, it can be tough, right? So I think for a lot of the there's like 2 types of 6 drops, I would say. 6 drops that immediately act. Okay, 3. I guess 3 types. There are 6 drops that immediately activate, right? So those are like, you instantly play it and you're immediately stronger, right? So like Eliza, immediate, like Gas Curler, Imama. Those you get early, you destroy people, right? There's not a lot of easy ways to deal with that extra power level. Then there's scaling, but that scaling that happens super quickly, right? So those are the second ones, where like Charga, I guess, would count. Flat Tusk counts, right? If you survive that turn with Flat Tusk, then you hit like an Agam, bam, you're like, you're the strongest in the lobby. Like it happens very, very fast. Eliza fits both of those criteria, right? Where
she's so good, right? Yeah.
Where you get her immediately, and then you're already strong, and then just a little bit of extra, like one Skelly, like one, Baron, and then bam, you're like destroying people, right? she fits that criteria. And then there's also that third type where it's slow. It's the Caligos. It's the little rags, right? Where I would say you need like 2 copies for it to really be um, powerful or punching people, right? When you get double little rag, right, that actually feels pretty good. When you get double Caligos, that actually feels pretty good, right? But if you get one and you're fighting someone with the other 2 types, you get destroyed because like one Caligos and then the dude has an Eliza, and you're just like, okay. And then one Caligos dude has like a Imam and you're taking like 13 or 20, right? And if you look in the shops, a lot of times you'll be able to identify what type based on what's available, right? So if pirates are in, right, you've got that boat, you've got Eliza, right? Those are really in the top in the does really work early, right? And then you also have the Eliza that can scale into the late game, right? Elementals don't really have that, right? Elementals have Little Rag, which takes a while. It has Genie, which takes a while, right? You're not gonna get that value immediately. Dragon, same thing, right? Dragon has Caligos, and then Nadina is supplementing Caligos, right? So Nadina kind of fits in the instant value, but you need that setup, so it doesn't really work in that you're going to get a Nadina and instantly be strong, right? It's you set up and then you get Nadina and then you're strong. Mechs, same thing, right? Mechs have the Full Reaper, demons have the Imama, beasts have Goldrin, right? Goldrin is more of a it's more of a Nadina, right? Where if you don't have the setup beforehand, you're not going to be strong.
It's with most of the time, but sometimes it's exactly what you want. But most of the
and then Gas Coiler as well is the immediate strength. So if you're looking at what's in the pool and you see, oh, elementals are in, mechs are in, you know, beasts are in, or dragons are in, right? The chance that you're going to hit something that requires like 2 copies of it, or something that requires like super late scaling, or being lucky or having the perfect comp already, right? Full dragons already or something like that is really high. So you have to be careful when those are what you're looking at. Whereas if you're getting like pirates, demons, you know, beasts and stuff like that, where you can easily get like Gas Coiler, Boat, Eliza, Quilboars. I don't know why I didn't put Quilboars in there, but Quilboars, of course, right? That then you know there's a very high chance you can hit a minion that can pop off really fast or scale really easily. So I wasn't doing this a lot until Shady was always hating on elementals, and I'm like, why is he hating on elementals so hard? Every time I talk about Literac, he's like, get out of here, cause the card is trash. I'm just like, there's a reason. Of course there was. And it's just cause the requirements for those type of minions requires either you need 2 6s, and then you have to hit both of them, right? The same type, right? If you have a Caligos and a Little Rag, it's not going to work. Like, oh, I got 2 of them. But no, you have to hit double Cali, double Rag, you know, Rag Genie, something like that, where you got that scaling and then synergy in the scaling as well, right? Like, Nadina Cali works as well, right? Like, even though it doesn't scale as fast, you're getting that instant power. It's like having an Eliza in a way, yeah. So that is something you have to be aware of, right? So sometimes when I do well with dragons or elementals or stuff like that, I'm always playing a hyper leveling hero where I got double 6 drops and stuff like that super early, and then it's very easy to smooth, right? Where if I get like 1 6 or the wrong 6 or the wrong triples and stuff like that, it's like, I had a Kelly early, but it wasn't enough. I had to work, I had to switch. And then someone beat me with Quilboars or Eliza or something like that. And I'm like, what went wrong, right? It's because the minion quality doesn't scale as fast as what's required to stay strong in this particular metagame. So thought it was interesting, you know, just we haven't, I guess I haven't put it in this clear format where there are specific minions that scale in specific speeds, and what's required of them can be how fast you die or how fast you can win from there, right? Eliza is very, very favorited for me and Shady, because you can pick it up, be strong, and then get significantly stronger from there. So there's no like weak point of scaling where Caligos, right, has that weak point, that vulnerability phase where if you don't get two, or you don't get you're not already full dragons, or you don't get the Nadina or whatever, even if you get like full dragon board and you don't have a Nadina, you can still get outscaled, right? And that didn't used to happen, where if you had the Caligos, that was all you needed, right? But nowadays there are comps that can compete, so it's just something to be aware of, or especially if you level to 6 a lot like I do. Just looking at the minion types and seeing what's in and how strong can they scale and how quick can they scale, and just using that to see maybe I shouldn't go for a 6 this game, maybe I should go for a 5, maybe I should stay on 4, etc., etc. But you kind of opened my eyes to this, just like dying multiple times with multiple 6 drops in the game in my board, and I'm like, what's going on? That's the kind of
The good stuff was out, right? You're like, why am I here?
it's, in a way, but
We described those 3 types there, but like there's the unfortunate 4th set where it's Zap, Medina, Kankor, and
that's
then it's
true.
just
That's true. Okay, so usually you just ignore those. You're not like, the chance you get 3 of the 4 type is super low. So at least most of the time you're gonna get one of those 3 that you're gonna pick up. But that is true. You can get like Zap, Kanger, and like a Nadina with no dragons. And
That's why we talked about the elementals, because elementals just times 2 that chance, because they add 3 more useless things to the pool. So I can now get my Zap, my Kangor, my Nadina, but I can also get any of the elementals.
the elementals,
If you value them the way I value them. I mean, like, I think that if you're saying Omu and it's a really early genie, and you have, say, a Harbinger on your board and you're strong, sure, fine, go to 6, you can carry it, pop off with allies, but that's more the exception than the rule. I think most heroes, when you triple into a genie or a little rag, you're really not happy, right?
Hyper leveling heroes can kind of, in a sense, ignore this because they can get to 6, and then a lot of times you can get away with like you'll see like Tavern Goer and a little rag in the shop, and like the first roll, and you're just like, okay, I just have 2 little rags, and then you're just and
but
then like
even on those guys, right? You'd rather have the Imam or the Coiler just so you don't get smacked that round, because then you just go 6 anyway, and then you open up the good stuff.
Yeah, but like I've had those games where Tavern Goer, little rag, and then like I roll into a genie, and I'm like, okay, well, this game, this game.
Yeah, I have that with Alex. Or I play allies too, right? Like, but it's like you say, it feels like you don't play allies when you're not tier 6. Well, this kind of ally, right? Of course, you have Party Rock, you've got Nomi, but if we're talking rag elementals, it really feels like you got to be on Tavern tier 6 to make that work.
I agree. I think that's how you're gonna win, right? If with this comp, if you're already on Tavern 6 and you have
then like you get the crazy stuff, you get the Bran, you get the Tavern Tempest, it makes Amalgadon, it makes rag, and you're just like, oh yeah, pop.
That's very true, right? You can start adding amalgams into your elemental comp and giving them divine shield and stuff like that, and that's really strong. But like that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about like just being aware.
For the 6s, I guess my 2 main concerns when I am, why are we talking about this? For me, it's for looking at my my triple potential, and is it worth holding out for a 6? I guess that's the baseline question for me. And I think if you are really strong, sorry, my daughter in the background.
That's all good.
Yeah, it's just cute. If you are really strong, I think a lot of the time you can take a 6 unless you have like a nightmare lobby where just like all the best ones are out, elementals are in. It's really likely you're gonna whiff. Then you might not want to take the risk, but a lot of the time you just get to 5 then, and you just have a 6. If that 6 is a coiler, and then you get Lightfang or something, that's cool, right? So, but we're talking about most games where you don't have the luxury of, I can whiff on my 6 and be fine. Most of the games you can't have that happen. So what are the really cool 6s? We've got Eliza, like we mentioned. That is, maybe the best one, just because she's safer than Flat Tusk, but Flat Tusk is like the overall best 6 in the game right now.
In terms of scaling.
Yeah, right. So if you've been living under a rock, like Flat Tusk plus Agam is currently the most powerful combo in the game. Flat Tusk plus Ground Shaker is also very powerful. So Those are really your two main targets. So if you are in a lobby and you see pirates and Quilboars out, suddenly you can start thinking, oh, do I even want the six, right? Like what else is in, what else is out? If elementals are out, then you can start thinking, okay, well, there's still Full Reaper. I can still get a Gas Coiler. I can still get an Imp Mama, right? So if you are relatively strong and you just want to get a six to just cash in your triple instead of a five because you feel like it's doable, sure, you can still do that. But if you need your six drop to immediately perform, be strong, and a lot of the time you might just want to try for a Light Fang, try for a Mithrax. And I think this particularly is true in those non-Quilboar lobbies because they are a bit slower. You can get away with having a Light Fang board. It feels that way, at least to me, where a lot of the Quilboar lobbies, I have a Light Fang board. I'm just like, it's too slow. It's not doing anything. This guy is Ground Shaker. He's just like destroying my minions that are slowly scaling with his Light Fang. But suddenly Ground Shaker's not in, Flat Tusk is not in, and the stats in general are toned down a bit. Suddenly those five drops are a little bit more appealing. So that would be the main thing for me, where I'm going to look at our pirates in, our Quilboars in. If both of them are out, I'm going to be much more likely to take a five than a six. Of course, it depends on the third type. Like I said, if elementals are out, it's a bit more redeeming. But especially if elementals are still in, there's just such a high chance of whiffing. So if you're using Deck Tracker or Firestone or whatever program to assist you, you can always like open it up and see, okay, exactly how many of these six drops do I actually want? Because a lot of the time I do, I run the numbers. I'm like, oh, it's like 4 out of the 12 that are in are good, and the
You're
rest.
you're you're literally looking at the tier one, the first the first bracket, But
Yeah, I'll
there's
do that as well. Yeah.
there's you can get a couple of you hate Chaga, but I think you could. It's serviceable sometimes. You hate.
Sure, but I mean that's Quilboars in though, because so that doesn't matter, right? When Quilboars are in, I'll take my shot a lot of the time just because how good Flat Tusk is. And yeah, as much as I give Charlie some shit, yeah, it is still a lot better than hitting a Little Rag or a Gar or any of the other bad ones, right? And sometimes your board has also some relevance to it. If you somehow have a
Elementals are crying.
yeah, yeah, man. I mean, what can I say?
Uh,
I mean, I play them, right? Because people are always so confused when they watch me play elementals. But a lot of the time, like we mentioned, it is that power level. It is that, oh, I was strong and I went to six. And it's most of the time, like you mentioned, it is a faces into a Little Rag where you're like, wait a minute, sure, I can do that, right? I'm strong enough. Let's get this party going.
but you're talking about sometimes you'll get like a macaw or something, and then you'll go
Oh,
for
right,
the
right. Yeah. So very specifically, right? Like the Goldrin might actually be a hit. Because most of the time when you're going to look at the sixes, Goldrin is not very desirable. You do not want to hit it. So beasts are actually not insanely good if you just have a very generic board and you are thinking, okay, what's in, what's out. Sure, you can get Coiler, but a lot of the time, Maexna and Goldrin are really not the cards you want to see. I think Amalgadon's another one where for me it's a bit more neutral. Like we can talk about that as well, like what your stance is on it. Let's say like a regular 3 Adapt Amalgadon. I think that's a
I
very
don't want a
common.
Malgadon early.
Yeah, it's just, but this might be a bit of a confusing thing because a lot of the time, especially for newer players, they're gonna hear all this talk about Amalgadon and you need Amalgadons, and Amalgadons are part of the tier one comp, and
They're the best minion
like,
in the game.
bam, like, okay, I see an Amalgadon, I snap it, right?
Yeah.
Amalgadon is more like something you add later on when you pull it from a Primal Fin, you pull it from a Murazond, or you're just straight on tier 6, you're just pulling them from the shop. Sure, right? Amazing. You have a brand on the board, get those Amalgadons in the comp, but they're not the six drop you want early. Like specifically, maybe like a bit of a throwback. Millhouse, I like it a little more because you can take any buff, right? So on Millhouse, not so bad, like because it can just absorb any buff in the shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the time, Amalgadon for me, I count it as a whiff, even though it can roll well. It might get Wind Fury 2 plants, and then you're like, oh, cool, a 6/6 with some plants inside. That's not going to carry me compared to the likes of an Eliza or even something like a boat, because when you get that really powerful six drop, you can sort of use it as cover for you to be able to go to six and actually just roll into the good stuff. Let's say you're pulling 2 6s. This happens sometimes if you're like crazy strong with Hook Tusk, or back when Maiev was in, you do it with Maiev as well, and you get 2 coilers. a lot of the time you might say, "Oh, damn, man, 2 6s. I didn't get anything. Oh, so unlucky." But you have 2 Coilers on your board. You're just going to 6 the next round, right? You're going to 6 and you're just buying the Caligo straight from the shop.
Yes, pretty much. That's true. The only time I see Amalgadon being useful is if I happen to playing Murlocs, right? There's not really a lot of like sixes that I really care about with Murlocs. So with Amalgadon, at least I can get Divine Shield on Murloc and go from there. And sometimes it'd be a bridge, but like you don't need it even with Murlocs. You don't care like with sixes a lot of the time. It doesn't. It a lot of times the six is what you're talking about. It keeps you safe, so you can roll and get strong enough that the Murlocs can take care of themselves. So, it's not like a key piece, right? Even if you don't hit any sixes that you want, you can just use them for the or like the mid game and the mid game safety, and then eventually sell it and then run full Amalgadon and then get a selfless at the end. But yeah, it's definitely something you want to think about, especially more with more minions being added to the pool, right? You didn't have to think about this as much when there was only one being removed per game, right? But now it's just two, and now there's three, right? So
For sure.
yeah, it's a lot more impactful to realize what's gone, and then, oh, what can I not get, or what can I get from the pool now that all these things are gone? Because you used to not care, like, oh, they removed one minion type, who cares, whatever, demons are gone, I don't notice it, now you notice. You notice when Quilboars are gone. You notice when mechs are gone. You notice when Murlocs are gone sometimes, and you can like just go elemental scaling with the molten rock, and then dude, the amount of games where the Arana has like one big molten rock, and I'm just like, where's the Murlocs? I can't deal with this thing, and
I don't play her with Murlocs in for exactly that reason.
Yeah, it's annoying, but yeah,
That's when they find the spore anyway, and you're like, "Ah, no!" Like, I remember there's like one game where Cthulhu on tier 4 had one triple, and I'm just like, "There's no way that's a spore." And then it's a fucking spore, and he just kills me for like 20 health because the Molten Rock is all I had.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunate.
yeah, unfortunate is the word I would use. I agree for sure.
Before we jump topics, by the way, just like another evaluation of those sixes where I didn't really talk about that. I think Foe Reaper is a hit in almost all circumstances,
Okay.
especially early. I think is a really good card, and later on, it's a great card to scale. And I think Imp Mama is an amazing hit early as well. Like Imp Mama is just
because you add the Harbinger. That's all you gotta do.
yeah. You add a Harbinger, but even without a Harbinger, Mama will keep you safe a lot of the time. Like if we're talking the what is it, 9 gold, 6 drops, 9 gold, 10 gold, 6
Right.
drop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty early. People don't one shot an Imp Mama unless you're in a very specific
Unless,
situation where you put her up
unless
early and she's running into a
unless it's
taunted
my mama,
arm or something.
then they one shot every time. But not every time. But yeah, I've definitely had those games where
Results may vary.
I had I think I was playing Reno, and it was like turn 10 or something, and I golden my Mama, and I died, and
Oh my
I
god.
was so shocked. I was like, what happened? Oh my god, it was so annoying, dude. I was like, how did this happen? It was so early in the game. I was Reno. I'm like, okay, I will hero power the Mama. There's no way I'm dying. I thought, and I just look at this game and be like, wow. And there was a cat in the game, so I'm sure she got my golden mom, or he got my golden mom. And I just was like, what
That's the number
happened?
one right there, yeah.
What happened there? It's just like what the hell? But yeah,
That's when the rest of the lobby is like, "All right, who killed the fucking Reno? Who who did this? Why does this cat have a golden mama?"
that was a real tilter, I would say. That particular game, I was not happy about that situation. But yeah, that's another tangent. Tripling based on minion types wins, good habit to have, I think, just in general. I think I'm gonna move on to the last topic of the day. Skipping a topic, we're gonna talk about Quilboars and how they have changed the meta game. So it's been a couple weeks or a month. It's been more than a month, right, since Quilboars are in. But now Quilboars have been out as well, right? So we've been able to see the difference in gameplays from when Quilboars are in and when Quilboars are out. And I would definitely, you've definitely noticed there's been a power level increase, I would say, with the introduction of some of the Quilboars, right? Initially, it was Charles doing all the damage, right? But now that Charles is taking a step back, Flattusk is now taking a step up to shine, and Agam as well, right? I remember initially we didn't think Agam was gonna be like it was. You were, oh, it's a light fang, whatever. But
Well, to be fair, I feel like it's only with Flattusk. Like I think Agam is fair until Flattusk is increased.
yes.
You have a Banner Warrior Agam, right? You have Thorncaller. That's cute, right? That's fine. It becomes an offender when Flattusk is in.
Yeah, I guess so. It's the synergistic nature of some of the cards that can cause the problems. But I remember initially, after things settled down, right? That was the only winning comp I saw for like a couple of days, where the only thing I died to was this Flatum Agam comp, and I was like, that's curious, I guess is what I initially thought. Oh, that's curious. Flatum Agam, and then I was like, that again. Oh, I lost again to the same comp, and then I was like, okay, there's something wrong here. I need to take a look at this, and I was like, oh, let me play it, and I realized, that's not fun.
Oh, this is not okay. Okay.
Yeah, it scales so strong, and sometimes, you still see it, and it's just like, yeah, they didn't really change this comp at all, right? Since it's been released, right? It's just been the same power level. Yeah, so it's definitely has made comp stronger, especially, and it's not just this particular thing, right? It's the same thing with the scaling, right? Since it uses blood gems, there's a lot of more things that can scale randomly, right? So you'll see like late game hydras where you couldn't see that before. That Lorez is common, especially with like ally cures and things like that. You'll see late game that Divine Shield Dragon, the Divine Shield Quilboar that gets that refreshes itself, right? Sometimes people just stack that. I do this actually a lot, where I just stack this,
Yeah.
and then it's a deflector, in its sense, and can 3 for 1.
I think it's a great like starter, right? You get the Flattusk, you get the Boar, but you don't have the Agam, right? A lot of the time, a Divine Shield is all you need for the moment, right? You stack that, and sometimes you never find the Agam, so you're like, I guess I'll just keep gemming. I'll just keep gemming.
Yeah, and things like Bannerboard, things like Bonkers, right? They've added like scaling into the game where you can just like banner like Bonkers and then get 2 blood gems, at least the early mid game, right? Same thing with Bannerboard, you just get +2/+2 for free. Well, not for free, but like pretty easily, right? It's not that hard to have like a Tough Tusk or something, or a Bristleback, right? Bristleback's nature synergy with the gem removal, I thought, is also really can be really powerful, right? Where you put 1 gem is 3 gems essentially when you put it on a Bristleback, and then you can transfer that over to some Divine Shield thing or some Cleave thing. I've done that quite a bit, where it just feels really, really strong. It's just like, I'll just run this for a
Feels
couple of
good
turns.
when you
Yeah, and then I'm adding like +12/+12 for free. So anytime Quilboars,
workspace is always a bit of an issue.
yeah, that's true.
So sorry, like I'm just saying, like you're always so happy when you're like, oh, I found the swap thing right now. Now the brute can go out and I can play. Like that's at least how I feel. It's like, all right, I'm holding on to this brute. I'm feeding him every turn. I really hope I get the Necrolite. They're like, yes, finally, board space. Let's go.
Yeah, that's for sure. And when Quilboars are out, you definitely you have like a return to like a return from the madness, where it's like, okay, Light Fang seems playable. I can go Menagerie now. Okay. Beasts, Goldrin Beasts, they're actually winning. It doesn't feel like, oh, the dude had Flatos. Okay, I died. Oh, the dude had Earthshaker or Ground Shaker. I'm dead. Like, where it might be due to we're more used to the power level before the Quilboars, so we're able to like more accurately predict how strong people will be based on like the what we can see. Where with gems, right? Someone can like one turn find the ground shaker and then be significantly stronger than they were the turn before. Where you can't play around that. You can't really predict that level, right? You see like someone that flats as Agam, and then you like okay, I can't beat them, right? Let's go scab. Whereas the dude might be holding on to blood gems and you don't know, right? Then the turn they find a ground shaker, and then like full divine shield comp with a ground shaker scaling, and you're just like, that wasn't this comp 2 turns ago.
This feels like how you die a lot of the time, when you're in that early late game, right? You're like,
Yeah,
okay, I've got stats, but then the guy just dumps 8 gems
yeah,
on 4 divine shields. You're like, oh, I died. Crap, right?
yeah.
This is like you either have some gold grubber scaling or you have your light fang like we talked about, but then Quilboars are in. That's one of those like, oh, I got completely caught off guard moments where he just went full shaker and it's an Alakir and I'm dead because there's a huge Hydra
I do
soloing
that.
my board.
I do
Yeah, right,
that.
I do that too. I love it, right? I was just saying, like, it happens where you're just like, I'm in a good spot, I'm scaling, things are going well. I took 18. What the hell, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to play around that, right? There's no like,
Virtually can't, right? Yeah, it's just like how do I play around a bunch of
yeah,
very high
there's
damage?
no indicator that they're gemming or anything like
Yeah,
that, right?
you basically have to run a Gould and maybe go 1-for-1 with the shields or
Yeah,
something. But
so
still.
I've definitely noticed that there's a power level increase, and it's harder to predict uh, how strong your opponents can be on a turn by turn basis, right? Like if you know they have the setup, then you know they're going to be strong, but you can't really tell immediately just like what particulars, how strong they're going to be, right? Like if they're going to have a ground shaker from nowhere, or if they're going to just find an agam, or find some random thing to skill, or they're saving their gems, or they're swapping their gems into a cleave minion that they didn't have before, right? Like it's very hard to identify those games unless you see them deal 30, and then you're like, okay, well, I guess I lost, that kind of thing. But other than that, it's like it's tougher to turn by turn know what strength they're going to be at. So that's one thing I've noticed since Quilboars have been added.
Yeah, it's a big one. I think just in general, it's just stats where you
Easier
know
to find.
Yeah, it's just things are bigger, right? We talked about it randomly. Just even the big offender is the flat tusk agam, but just the flat tusk plus Pumbaa, the great boar, and any divine shields, just like you get +10 on that unit per turn.
It's Charles and Puma.
Yeah,
That's the uh,
sure, but
one for them.
then yeah, you'd get like the entire board scaling, and that's okay. We're more used to that, but I feel like in this particular case, they can just pump one divine shield like crazy. At least that catches me off guard a lot of the time, where it's this board reset we talked about, like the deflecto, where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of strong, but he has a 40-40, or like whatever stats it's supposed to have, like 40-44. I'm not beating that. I'm not killing that. It's killing one of my guys, then it's resetting.
Another
Uh,
weird thing with that particular card is that you don't place your minions to account for that, right? Like you so they have a 40-40, right? You have like maybe like a bumper, then you have like your best minion or something like a deflect, then you have like another huge minion, right? And then that second huge minion goes into the divine shield and dies for free, and that might be like the only thing keeping you alive that turn, right? So a lot of times with those reset minions, especially when they have ton of stuff, right? Your minions are just like one offing themselves into a divine shield that respawns, and it's too hard to it's not too hard, but you're not, unless you fought them before, you're not gonna be okay. I'm gonna put a bumper, then I'm gonna try to one shot. If I can't one shot, I'll put another bumper, and then I'll put my second minion so I can kill it for free. Like no one does that. No one plays around.
Maybe George, right? Against George, you'd
Yeah,
be like,
okay,
I do
sure.
that, because you're thinking, hey, maybe the one taunt, so bump into kill into some bump, more bump. But yeah, sure, if it's
Yeah,
not George.
but in general, you
for sure.
it's not a
You get very
natural
caught off
placement.
guard
Yeah,
for like
yeah,
this
yeah,
huge divine shield.
yeah.
The
And
sorry, I was just talking about the boards. Like, I feel like the general thing is probably just pace of the game. Pace of the game is faster, stats
true.
come quicker, people die faster.
Yeah. How many times have you died like in 2 turns from like 30 plus HP, right? Like it's just like
Like, man, today alone, like, but that was very unfortunate. Back to back Coiler series of events where I'm just like, I died from 31, man. I was just sitting there like, my God, dude, what is this joke? How am I able to take 31 I went through? But yeah,
yeah,
no, in general, it just happens. And it feels bad, right? You feel
yeah.
like you have been controlling your game very well. You're healthy. You feel like you're strong. And then, like you say, it's 2 turns, two unfortunate matchups, or, you've been hitting the beak ones the whole time, which is why you're feeling strong, but actually everyone else is strong. That can happen too. And then you hit two really strong people and you're just dead. So that feels like that does happen, which is, tied into pace of the game. Like, games just go fast with Quilboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's also because the good cards are high tavern tier. So what you end up doing is you're picking up Flatus, you're picking up Puma, you're picking up Agam, and like a ground shaker, and they're all surviving, right? So then there's a 5 tier, a 5 tier, a 6 tier, a 4 tier, right? They if like your 3 divine whatevers are
That is very true.
that,
Like, say, because like when you think Menagerie, you're like, oh, he has a micro mummy deadlift. He's got like this shitty 1-star Murloc deadlift, right? That doesn't deal damage. So I hadn't thought of that. That's a really good point.
yeah, it's I notice this all the time because I do this.
Oh, 4-star.
Yeah, because I just leveled a 5, right? And I just my minions are all 5 drops, and I'm just like, well, he took 23 on turn 8 or something, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. Is my like immediate reaction. I am sorry that I ruined your game by doing this. So I just noticed it a lot when people go for Quilboars. A lot of the Quilboars are very high tiered. So and they are the ones that you put in the back as well, right? You're not putting your flat tusk in the front, you put it in the back. So the divine shield ninja, whatever you're attacking, they die, right? But then your Agam, your flat tusk, your ground shaker, they're the ones that survive, and you're hitting people for 20 plus
See,
HP.
this is so funny, right? You talk about it that way. I have just my own math where I play tier 4 so often. I was like, oh, 3 minions lives, that's 16 damage. 2 minions live, that's 12 damage. It's just like everything is 4 stars. Oh, sometimes it's like, oh, a deflector, right? -1. Okay, you got off easy, pal. It's only 11 instead of 12, or
My math is like, okay, I have 3 minions. That's 20-ish, like you're taking 20-ish. That's normally how I do it. Yeah. So
it does feel good when you start adding it up and like, oh, 5, 5. Yeah, we're looking good. Okay, yeah.
yeah. It's a problem, dude. Especially when like they have a boat. Oh my god, dude, I hate it. Oh, and you look at the boat because that's what your minions are focused on. Everything else doesn't have taunt except for the bow. And you're just like, don't hit it, please. And then you hit it, and then you're like, yeah,
Single
that's
auger
yeah,
amalgam.
yeah. I'm so sad. I'm so sick of that card, dude. In terms of damage potential, the card itself, I like the card itself, like fundamentally, like, oh yeah, 3 pirates, da da da, fun. Uh, the damage profile it creates normally is not fun at all. That stuff is pain, basically. Also, I wanted Golden Boat to do something because I make a lot of Golden Boats now. And it always like annoys me that it doesn't do anything. And usually when I have a boat, I already have a Baron or something, because I'm running pirates.
Right.
I was
You're
like,
you're just you're just basically discovering another thing when you're making golden bows. That's why you're
yeah,
doing it. Or
give give the minions that come out of the boat reborn. That's what I was looking at. Oh.
I mean, I think the obvious thing, well, blatantly OP maybe, right? Just make them golden copies. right?
That's
That fits the theme, right?
no,
Golden Bow, Golden Cup.
that's also
You hit a
scary.
golden Eliza, it's like, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so disgusting. Golden as well.
Actually, yeah.
Reborn, I could also like as well. Right? There's no reborn pirates, so you're not getting there's not a lot of reborn
You get
minions.
reborn Scallies with an Eliza
Yeah,
that comes
exactly.
out.
That's what I was
Oh!
thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Where the games would be not fun. I bet that'd be even more annoying actually than
I mean, how often do you see golden bows?
Oh,
Right,
that's
let's
true.
be honest,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
Let's be
Okay,
honest.
I guess that's fair. If you were running a golden boat, I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't be as annoyed. I guess so. That's a very good point. Yeah, yeah. But this was much longer of a podcast than I thought.
Banter, right?
Yeah.
Banter. Good fun though. Good fun.
I was damn, dude. I was like, this is gonna be a short one. It's gonna be like the other
20-minute adventure.
Yeah, then the Millhouse conversation was like 30 minutes alone. I was, I was like, what's going on? But yeah,
Let us know. Let us know, by the way, guys. Do you enjoy this style more? Do you like it more like cut and dry, just like straight to the topics?
I don't think we ever do cut and dry. To be fair, like I don't know if
Or
that.
more cut and dry, I guess. More towards that
Uh,
end of the spectrum, man.
I don't know if I'm a cut and dry type of person. Next time, I mean, I tried to be for this podcast. Like, next topic. Let's go. Because normally I would just
For me, I just get to be like, Collins is going to go next if he feels like he wants to go next. I can just talk all I want. And it's give me the cue, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But final things about Quilboars. I do think do I like Quilboars? Actually, that's we haven't answered there. And in general,
Sure. Good question.
I huh. That's a good question. Dragons are now worse because of Quilboars, so I don't know. I can't go Kelly that hard. I think it wasn't a bad expansion, I would say. The blood gems have changed some of the styles in how I play, and I would say Quilboars have added more good sixes with flat tusk and stuff. So it's been a little bit easier for me to identify when going to sixes is better, right? It used to be, well, that's also Shady's fault, just like telling me elementals suck, but that as well. It's been easier just realizing, okay, these are in, I can do this. This one, I can do that. And blood gems are like they're thought provoking. I think compared to some other like key features of other archetypes, right? Blood gems you do need to think, right? I remember when they initially came out, I never used all my blood gems because there are too many things to think about. Now I'm just like flat, oh, where's my agam? Okay, I just put them all in agam. Okay, I don't have to I don't have to think. So it's been easier when I have that combo, but without that then I stopped thinking. Then my brain shuts down. But I've generally been okay with the expansion overall. I still think there are some changes that need to be done, right? There's there are still some OPs, namely Flat Tusk and maybe Ground Shaker. I don't know how to change that one though. To be fair, like I don't know how you
Yeah,
would fix that
I think like I proposed like some kind of a flat tusk change. And I think in good Blizzard fashion, if they do it, it'll be generate a gem every 4 gold you've spent,
one. Right.
probably.
Yeah, that's
So
straight. Yeah,
that's
it's classic Blizzard.
classic. Like, you know what? Too many gems. Take one less. Here we go. Right,
Yeah.
every 4 gold now, and then you inevitably nerf it that way, and they'll see. Right, okay, is it still nutty or not? So I'm expecting that maybe not too soon, but if let's say another expansion hits or some more balance changes hits, you're still only playing flat tusk agam if you are given the option. We might see that change. I think that's a pretty normal one for them to push. Like I'm assuming they have some like proposed nerfs ready for their cards as they print them, and that's probably the one they have ready for flat toss. Oh, let's do it every
I
4
don't
gold.
think that's true at all. I do not
He's
think.
like, oh, there's like
I
this card's too strong. No way, right? We don't make too strong cards.
I don't think they have proposed nerfs for cards. You know, like, oh yeah,
I
okay.
don't
If
know.
this is a problem, we'll have this nerf ready
You
to
don't know. I don't
go.
know. It
No,
feels like that's sort of like
I,
basics, right?
I
Yeah,
don't
like
think they do that at all. I think
you
they're
want a
like,
plan
okay,
B,
this is
right?
good, and then they're like, oh no, it's not good. Okay, team meeting, let's fix this. Right? It's not
Yeah, what do
like,
we do, right?
yeah, it's there's
Can we
no.
change the number into a higher or lower one to turn the card like more powerful or less powerful?
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
sometimes that works with some minions, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, like you look at Elise, right? You change a 2 into a 3. She goes from like batshit crazy OP to borderline unplayable. Now, some of that has to do with the spell meta, like really encouraging hyper
oh,
leveling.
Elise.
Yeah.
I was thinking Eliza. I was like
All
two
right, you're
into a
like 2
three,
into a 3.
like
Like you
two attack into three attack. I was like,
now at least
what?
now Eliza is playable. Yeah, finally I can pick one.
I was like, damn, dude, you doing what's going on with that one? But yeah, what do you think? How do you think about Quilboars for you, anyways?
I had a thought ready, and then it was just out of my mind with the
I
nerf.
love it.
But
That's
oh, right. Yeah, no, I got it back. I got it back. I got it back. So I think that fundamentally, design-wise, sure, cool set. I'm not here gonna sit complaining, oh, this was a failure or this was bad. Like credit where credit is due. Lots of interesting things. Definitely shook up the meta. I think purely from like personal enjoyment of that meta. One thing I get to do less, which is my favorite comp, far and away of anything. You know what it is? It's APM Pirates. The
oh.
game, the game is too fast. The game is too fast. I do not get the like. I've played maybe two proper APM Pirate
I
games
see what you're saying.
in the last month. That's crazy, right? And
Yeah.
one of them was pretty much where I hard forced it, where I hero powered a Hogger as arena. But like I'm playing APM Pirates. Right? Like I had a flat toss. I sold her. It was like, get your fucking gems out of here. I don't have time for this shit. I want to buy pirates. So, but a lot of the time, if you get Golden Hogger, it's kind of just a glorified gem machine where you just have a flat disk next to it, and it's just like,
Right.
okay, buy
Yeah,
pirates, I'll
pretty
pirate. And then,
much. Yeah.
but it's not true APM pirates, right? You're not popping off. You're not just going like buy, sell, get the Amalgadon Golden Bravo, and that would happen way more before Quilboars because the pace of the game was slower. You actually had a little bit more time to set that up. Whereas now just imagine having a couple hoggers on your board like several turns in a row. It's just you run into a shaker and just take 20 and you're dead.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really happen as often. So from a personal just like enjoyment, like the comp I really, really, really enjoy playing. It's not dead. It's just
Same thing
way
with
harder.
Caligos, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
enjoy it. Yeah. For so your
Just
favorite comp
that.
for
I don't know if that's my favorite comp. My favorite comp was taunt comp with brand scaling. Like
when you
not
said taunt comp, I was like, wait, that's
no
not true.
no 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 no. I made this at the beginning. Like
Yeah, scavenger comp. Yeah.
yeah,
So
scavenger
basically
comp.
like
I guess that's a
taunt your whole
better
board.
way. Yeah. Because now there's a new name for taunt comp. Scavenger comp is probably a better. Yeah, that's my favorite comp, and I. But that was harder to play even before Cobras are in. You know, like. But I think when Caligos came in, it got harder to play. But that used to be my favorite. But that has nothing to do with Crowboard. But dragons are weaker. It's all. That's the reference I was making. But yeah. What? I think that's it, right?
That's it.
All right.
Closing thoughts on Cold Wars.
All right.
Overall, good, but yeah, personal things like don't get to play AP Empires.
Yes, exactly. Um, but that shall be it for our podcast this week. This was surprisingly long. You know, I always think it's gonna be short, and then Shady surprises me. But yes, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Shady, for being here every week. And
It was great fun, man. Thanks for having me as always.
I appreciate all the comments, the feedback, and all the good vibes. You can send us feedback at hsbgpodcast at gmail.com. You can reach me at Educatedcollins, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, Shady at Shady, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. And that shall be it from us, and we'll see you guys next week with another special guest. All right.
See you guys next week.